Hey guys, welcome to the Traditional Bow Hunting Wilderness Podcast. This is Jason Samkovic. We're out here in my shop. If you're not somebody who understands rain on a tin roof, listen for a second so you can enjoy this. We are down here in Georgia. It is 77 degrees. There's a light rain. We are in my shop here, which is just open tin roof. Listen to how beautiful this sounds. Love that. Just very, very cool. So we're going to let it play in the background because it is pretty neat. But today we're going to talk about these right here. The most amazing heads ever designed in the world of archery, the judo tip. Absolutely incredible. So what is it for? What does it do? And as you can see, I love them. I have tons of them. Okay, they are indestructible for the most part. They hold up incredibly well, and they are used for stump shooting. Throughout this video, I'm going to show you a ton of them. You're going to see little pictures down here of me shooting a whole bunch with these heads on here. But what they do is they go right on your arrow like this, just like a point that you see right on there. And these arms, these wire arms, we'll pull my tab off there for a minute. But these wire arms that are on there, what they're going to do, let me hide my face so that comes into focus for you, is those arms that are on that, they are going to grab your grass, brush, and everything like that. They are springy. If we take a piece of, let's use a ceramic rod right here, but these arms are spring loaded. You can see they're on a spring and they're flexible, okay? They just bounce and flex backwards and they hook on everything and they slow down the actual arrow. As you shoot into stumps and stuff, they'll fold backwards. This thing will punch into stumps, yet you can pull it out. When you shoot in, if you're shooting at squirrels or something, you hit a tree, usually it'll just bounce off or it'll stick there, but it's easy to pull off. If you're shooting in the dirt, they won't bury under the ground. That's the whole purpose. It is a roving type head that is not going to get lost or get ruined on you, and that's the whole purpose of them. Now, what I like about them a lot over the fact of things like hex heads, which are great, and there's blunts and things like that too. There's a lot of great options out there, but my quiver, this is my spare quiver. This is the one I throw in my truck with some spare stuff if I need it. But it's old. This quiver is 20-something years old, 25, 28 years old. Love this quiver. I did change the hood out, but the frame is like 28 years old. It's my first one ever. But you notice in here that I got a spot. I can't really fit a hex head in there or a blunt very well, but my judo does fit in there, and I don't have to flip my arrow around. So a judo fits in my quiver perfectly, and I don't have to do this, what a lot of people end up doing. When you see somebody with an arrow like this in their quiver, it's because they got a blunt or a hex head or something on the end that doesn't fit in there, so they'll actually mount that arrow in their quiver like that because it's easier. With a judo, I don't have to do that. It will fit right in a simple hole that you put in there very well and work fantastic. It also carries my tab for me. So my tab goes on my judo arrow like that and goes into the quiver, and it's captured between the hood of the quiver and it's captured between the rubber gripper. So my tab can't come out. If I were to do that, flipping this around and doing it this way, like this, what's going to happen is I'm going to trash my feathers because my tab is going to be out here. When my tab goes down and goes up and down, you can see what it's doing to my feathers here. That's a problem. Okay, I don't want that. So for me, a judo is the ultimate roving head in the sense that we have that ability to fit it in the quiver like we want, and we get the stopping power and don't get, you're not going to lose it. Even look at the end of this head. Look at how dinged up, beat up from rocks and stuff like that. I mean, you can see they go through a lot. They take a lot of abuse. The only thing that ever really breaks on them, I haven't broken an arm off in a long time, but what'll happen is you might actually bend the shank on here a little bit, and it might have a little wobble to it, and then I replace them. But they last forever. You can get them in a screw-on or a glue-on model. Screw-on here, threaded, glue-on model here. Okay, I buy the downside, the only bummer to a judo is that they are limited in their size, weight. Okay, their weight. This only comes, the heaviest you can get it is 135 grains as a glue-on, 125 grains as a screw-on, but the glue-on one, the heaviest I can get is 135 grains. So I have to pick and choose. So if I put that on here at 135 grains and I put it on here, I'm at 170 grains of total weight. That's that. Now if I go to 125 grain insert, this is 100 grain. If I put 100 on there, I'm at 235 grains. If I put 125 grain, which is the heaviest of these they make, it's solid inside, and I use those. If I put that on here, I end up with basically 160 grain, or 260 grain head versus this being I'm sorry. This is 135, I'm going to repeat that. 135 would be 170. With a 100 grain adapter, would be 235 total. Or if I put a 125 grain, would be 260 grains, which is what I shoot them as, is 260 grains. That's what this one right here would be, so that they match my 250 grain head weight. But it does still allow me, and that's the only reason I shoot a 250 grain head, is because the heaviest I can get a judo in is 260 grains. If I could get a judo in 300 grains, I would shoot a 300 grain broadhead. If I could build a judo in 400 grains, I would shoot a 400 grain broadhead. I would put as much weight in that head as I possibly could, but I am limited to what I can do by this point. I love this head, but I wish they made it in a 200 grain version so that I could go to like 325 or something with it. But that's, you know, they've been around since, what, the 50s, and I don't see it happening anytime soon. But like I said, you're seeing a bunch of little videos of this being shot down here, but these heads are absolutely incredible. They are not a good squirrel head. They are not a good small game head because of the fact that the blunt surface area is so small on this. Okay, that area of that blunt head right here is so little that you're not getting the blunt force trauma that you would from an actual blunt head or an ace head. I don't have one out here. But you know, you want that bigger surface area of some of those for small game stuff. So when I small game hunt, I just take another quiver, usually just a cheap back quiver I got, or I'll take my push archery side quiver and I'll use that. And then when I'm out there small game hunting, I take my arrows out of there, still leaving my bow quiver on my bow with my regular arrows in it. Because again, I don't want to mess all these holes up on there to fit hex heads and blunts in there, in my opinion, the way I run it. But judo head is the best practice you can do with any bow. But I would be lost without judos. It's my favorite way, as you've been watching and all these little clips going, my favorite way to actually practice. They are real world distances, real world environments. You're in the woods, it's all natural settings. You got to really focus and pick a spot and concentrate, and a judo head lets you do that. It's one of the very few ways to do it. If you're out there doing it with a field tip, you're losing it. If you miss, they bury under the leaves in the grass and they're gone. If you do it with a broadhead, they stick in everything. You can't get them out even if they're dull. A judo head is the ultimate head for that. Now, hex heads and blunts also work very good. The downside is, again, they don't work in my quiver as well. But the judo tip, absolutely incredible. Now, when you're out stump shooting, let it be real world practice, okay? Focus on picking a spot. Don't shoot at a huge stump. I say this all the time in all my stump shooting stuff. I don't shoot at big stumps. I want to shoot at a pine cone. I want to shoot at a leaf. I want to shoot at the end of a little log, the way a deadfall comes up and it's got a notch. A knot hole I see on a big stump. Anything that's going to really drive my focus down small and really make me concentrate real hard on putting that arrow exactly where I need it to go. Not just hitting a big stump, but have fun with it. Shoot through some real world environments where you got to go over this, or you got to find a little window to shoot through, these kind of things. Life is good when you're stump shooting, and the practice you get from it is absolutely amazing. So I can't say enough good things about it, but this tip, the judo tip, has been around forever. Now there are also knockoff versions of this. I have not shot them before. I know people that have, and they've told me that the wires break, they're not built the same, there's nowhere near the quality of heat treat in the springs, there's nowhere nothing. If you are buying a judo, buy Zwickey brand judo tips, okay? Whether it's in a screw-on or a glue-in, but make sure it is actual, real, dedicated Zwickey one. The other ones, you're gonna pay the same amount of money, and they're gonna be half as good and last half as long. So, little tip for you on the value of that arrowhead. So, thanks for watching.